When the first dinosaur fossils were unearthed, they were neatly categorized: giant, reptilian, and terrestrial. For decades, the public believed they knew what a dinosaur looked like: a colossal lizard with scales. But the history of paleontology is a narrative defined by disruption. Every few years, a discovery is made. A bone structure so outlandish, a feature so specialized, or a habitat so unexpected that it shatters the established family tree. These creatures didn't just walk the earth. They forced scientists to question the fundamental rules of life itself. Today, we dive into the fascinating world of 10 dinosaurs so bizarre that scientists tried to reclassify them. We're looking at the anomalies: the feathered tyrannosaurs, the swimming predators, and the duck-billed beasts with giant claws. These are the creatures that refuse to fit in, and in doing so, revolutionized everything we thought we knew about the age of reptiles. 1. Spinosaurus. Initial classification. When first discovered in Egypt in the early 20th century, Spinosaurus was classified as a typical giant bipedal theropod, a cousin to Tyrannosaurus rex, distinguished primarily by its massive dorsal sail. The bizarre feature, true contradiction. Subsequent discoveries, particularly the detailed skull and limb structures, revealed a bizarre blend of traits: an elongated, crocodile-like snout filled with conical teeth, short hind legs with wide, paddle-like feet, and dense bone structure, often seen in aquatic animals. These features were incompatible with the standard terrestrial predator model. The reclassification attempt. The debate centered on reclassifying Spinosaurus not just as a land predator, but as a semi-aquatic dinosaur, the first to spend the majority of its life hunting in the water. This radical shift fundamentally altered the understanding of theropod ecology, suggesting dinosaurs successfully filled the niche of modern crocodiles and large river mammals. Implications, chapter resolution. Spinosaurus proved that theropods were far more ecologically diverse than previously imagined, shattering the uniform image of them as purely land-based hunters. 2. Dinosaurs. Initial classification. Dinosaurs was initially known only from its bizarre, gigantic forearms, nearly 8 feet long, tipped with immense, curved claws. It was dubbed the Terrible Hand, and tentatively placed near large, carnivorous theropods, likely a specialized, predatory behemoth. The bizarre feature showed contradiction. When the rest of the skeleton was finally found, scientists were shocked. It had a towering dorsal hump, a small, elongated neck supporting a wide, duck-like bill, and highly adapted feet, suggesting it was a slow-moving wader. It looked like a cross between a camel, a duck, and a sloth. The reclassification attempt. The dinosaur was dramatically reclassified from a fearsome carnivore to a giant, omnivorous wader that likely fed on plants and fish in swampy environments. It now sits in a unique branch of the ornithomosaurs, demonstrating extreme convergent evolution with mammals like giant ground sloths. Implications, resolution. Dinosaurs demonstrated that massive body size in dinosaurs did not automatically equate to carnivorous predation. Specialization into omnivory and herbivory was possible even for the largest theropods. 3. Therizinosaurus. Initial classification. Like Dinosaurs, Therizinosaurus was first known only from its namesake: huge, scythe-like claws, the largest known from any animal. Based on these features, it was naturally assumed to be a powerful predator, perhaps a new type of massive raptor or a turtle-like carnivore. The bizarre feature. contradiction. When the full skeleton emerged, it revealed a pot-bellied, small-skulled creature with a surprisingly long neck and a stance that resembled a gorilla. Most counterintuitively, analysis confirmed it was a herbivore, using its terrifying 3-foot-long claws to pull branches into its mouth, not to disembowel prey. The reclassification attempt. Scientists struggled for decades, eventually reclassifying it as a highly derived, bizarre theropod. Placed in its own family Therizinosauridae, its lineage proved that the predatory theropod body plan could be completely repurposed for strict herbivory. Implications: resolution. It forced a complete overhaul of the theropod family tree, showing that dramatic dietary shifts were common, even among lineages originally designed for meat consumption. 4. Mononychus. Initial classification. When fragments of Mononychus were found, it was initially classified as a small, specialized theropod. However, its strange, bird-like skeletal features and extremely short forearms led to immediate confusion. The bizarre feature, sharp contradiction. A Mononychus possessed fused wrist and ankle bones, a deep sternum, and a single, robust claw on each tiny forelimb. It looked like a flightless, running bird, but still retained enough dinosaurian features to defy complete reclassification as an early bird. Its single-claw purpose remains a mystery, speculated to be for termite consumption. The reclassification attempt. It was placed into the Alvarezsauridae family, a highly specialized group often considered the closest non-avian relatives to birds, but its single-clawed anatomy remains an evolutionary and dead, baffling scientists who tried to integrate it fully into the standard avian ancestry. Implications: resolution. Mononychus highlights the incredible evolutionary experimentation happening during the transition from dinosaurs to birds, proving that many failed. Specialized forms existed along that path. 5. Pachycephalosaurus. Initial classification. Pachycephalosaurus was categorized as a standard member of the ornithischian, bird-hipped dinosaurs. Its dome, initially, was thought to be primarily for defense, or perhaps an extreme version of a bony crest. The bizarre feature contradiction. The creature's most famous feature is its massive, dome-shaped skull, up to 10 inches thick, made of highly dense bone. This led to decades of fierce debate. Was the dome used for violent, head-to-head combat, like bighorn sheep, or was it merely a visual display that was too fragile for impact? Analysis of the bone structure showed its incredible ability to absorb massive stress. The reclassification attempt. The ongoing debate centers on reclassifying its behavior from a passive herbivore to a dynamic, aggressive combatant. Some scientists argue its entire lineage should be defined by this unique adaptation for cranial combat, fundamentally changing how we view social and mating behavior in ornithischians. Implications: resolution. The dome forced paleontologists to analyze the biomechanical function of dinosaur features, challenging the initial, often static, view of dinosaur behavior. Nigersaurus. Initial classification. Nigersaurus was recognized as a sauropod, long-necked herbivore, the standard definition of which is a high browser, grazing on treetops. The bizarre feature contradiction. The skull of Nigersaurus is the strangest ever found for a sauropod. Its snout was broad and squared off, containing over 500 tiny, replaceable teeth arranged in dental batteries that lined the front edge of its jaws. This anatomy functioned exactly like a modern vacuum cleaner or lawnmower, specialized for sustained, ground-level grazing. the reclassification attempt. The entire group it belongs to, Rebashisauridae, had to be re-envisioned. Nigersaurus was reclassified as an extremely low-level browser that fed exclusively on ferns and low-lying vegetation, forcing its long neck to act like a giant, slow-moving boom arm to sweep the ground rather than reach the skies. Implications, resolution. It proved that sauropods, despite their iconic long necks, could specialize in low-level feeding niches, a dietary function previously thought to be exclusive to smaller, short-necked herbivores. 7. Eutyrannus. Initial classification. Large tyrannosaurs, such as Tyrannosaurus rex itself, were historically classified as scaly, cold-blooded reptiles, the epitome of the giant lizard stereotype. The bizarre feature, contradiction, Eutyrannus, a massive apex predator reaching over 30 feet in length, was found in China perfectly preserved with extensive evidence of filamentous feathers covering its entire body. This was not a small, bird-like theropod. This was a giant predator, a true tyrannosaur. That was fluffy. The reclassification attempt. The discovery forced a critical reclassification of the entire Tyrannosauroidea superfamily. Scientists now had to accept that even the largest and most fearsome predators were likely endotherms, warm-blooded, and required insulation. The initial classification of T-Rex and its cousins as large, naked reptiles had to be discarded. Implications, resolution. Eutyrannus provided crucial evidence confirming that feathers were a basal trait for many theropods, permanently reshaping the public image of carnivorous dinosaurs. 8. Epidendrosaurus. Initial classification. When discovered, its fragments suggested a small, agile theropod, probably part of the Compsognathidae family. Small, standard runners. The bizarre feature, contradiction. Epidendrosaurus possessed extremely elongated third fingers, so long that they comprised almost half the length of its entire forelimb. These were features perfectly adapted for grasping and climbing. Its anatomy suggested a creature specialized for an arboreal, tree-dwelling existence, unheard of for a dinosaur of its time. The reclassification attempt. It was placed into the Scansoriopterigidae family, a group of highly specialized theropods that were reclassified as arboreal dinosaurs. This challenged the notion that all dinosaurs were strictly terrestrial or flight-capable, proving that some theropods evolved to exploit the canopy niche, using specialized climbing limbs. Implications, resolution. Epidendrosaurus showed the adaptability of the dinosaur body plan, demonstrating that some forms develop behavior similar to modern primates or sloths, completely altering the view of Mesozoic ecosystems. 9. Ankylosaurus. Initial classification. Ankylosaurus and its armored relatives were classified as heavily protected. Slow-moving herbivores, essentially walking tanks defined by passive defense. The bizarre feature, contradiction. Detailed study of its tail club revealed massive, fused vertebrae and a complex muscle structure, suggesting the tail was not just a deterrent, but a powerful, actively used weapon. Furthermore, its armor, while defensive, was structured to allow surprisingly quick movement for an animal of its bulk. The reclassification attempt. Scientists pushed to reclassify the Ankylosauridae not as passive shields, but as dynamic weapon specialists. The tail club was re-evaluated as a high-impact offensive tool, capable of breaking the legs of predators like T-Rex, fundamentally changing the perceived interactions between predator and prey. Implications, resolution. This reevaluation transformed the understanding of defensive dinosaurs, emphasizing complex, active defense mechanisms rather than simple, passive protection. 10. Mamengosaurus. Initial classification. Sauropods were defined by long necks, but there were limits imposed by gravity and circulatory physics. The bizarre feature are in contradiction. Mamengosaurus possessed a neck that was utterly absurd, reaching lengths of up to 36 feet, a third of the animal's total length. This challenged all known biological limits regarding the structural strength required to lift such a mass, and the circulatory pump required to send blood that high. Its neck was proportionally longer than that of a modern giraffe, yet made of bone and flesh. The reclassification attempt. Scientists were forced to study the physics of its neck structure, reclassifying it as a dinosaur that utilized complex internal mechanisms, possibly internal bracing or pneumatic, air-filled vertebrae, to lighten the load and sustain blood pressure. This forced a radical reimagining of sauropod internal anatomy. Implications resolution. Mamengosaurus pushed the boundaries of biological possibility, proving that dinosaurs solved extreme physical challenges through internal anatomy that remains a source of scientific mystery and debate. The creatures on this list are the evolutionary oddballs, the biological paradoxes that refuse to conform to the neat, tidy boxes created by early paleontology. They didn't just challenge scientists. They offered tantalizing glimpses into a Mesozoic era that was far stranger, more diverse, and more ecologically sophisticated than we ever imagined. From the feathery coats of giant predators to the specialized jaws of aquatic hunters, these bizarre creatures have fundamentally rewritten the rules. Dinosaurs could swim. They could have feathers. They could have biological weaponry we still struggle to explain. Every successful reclassification proves that the history of life is infinitely more creative than our initial assumptions allowed. The next discovery could, and likely will, challenge the rules again. Which of these evolutionary oddities do you find the most mind-bending? Share your thoughts on the strangest dinosaur classification in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications as we continue to uncover the scientific disruptions that reshape our understanding of the planet's history.